name is Anna McCrory. I work with the Canadian Association for Community Living. Would like to start by thanking our co-hosts this evening, the Alberta Association for Community Living and the What Sorts Network, without whom we would not have been able to pull this dialogue off this evening. So we really appreciate your partnership and your help in making this happen. Tonight is a public dialogue, and it's one of a series that's been going on across the country. The Canadian Association for Community Living is celebrating their 50th anniversary in November, and as part of our celebrations, we have developed a national public dialogue series, and we've been traveling across the country talking in similar formats around our CACL's 10 objectives, and our objectives are quite broad-ranging. They are things like inclusive education, employment, closing institutions. One of them is achieving equality, rights, and recognition. And for us, this issue is a really important rights and equality issue, and ensuring that there is genetic justice is a conference session that we're working on, a new phrase that I quite like. And really just want to welcome and thank everyone for coming this evening. Briefly, I will introduce, in the middle of the table is Dick Sobsey, and Dick has kindly agreed to moderate the panel portion of this evening, and really once we get through some of the panel presentations, we hope to flip it to the audience and have more of an interactive dialogue on the issues. So Dick will be our moderator for the evening, and I will turn it over to Bruce, and he will introduce the panelists.
You want a little applause for Anna there? I'm Bruce Uditsky. I'm the CEO of the Alberta Association for Community Living, and just to add our pleasure to be co-hosting this with the What Sorts Network and the Canadian Association for Community Living. As an advocacy organization representing individuals with developmental disabilities and their families, we're deeply committed to addressing issues like eugenics, bioethics, medical ethics, and the things that relate to them that actually are threatening, if not actually harmful, to the lives of people with developmental and other disabilities. So we're very pleased that CACL want to hold these public dialogues across the country. I'm only going to introduce some of the panelists because I don't know, I haven't met yet Simo Vemas from Finland, although we're thrilled that he's here this evening to share some thoughts and observations with us, and I'll allow Dick to provide a more thorough introduction. But sitting to my right, or your left at the beginning of the table, is Wendy McDonald, who's the current president of the Alberta Association for Community Living and a parent of two sons, one of whom has developmental and other disabilities. Sam Salone. I should also mention that Wendy owns a company called Possibility Works, which provides human relations and professional development training. And Sam Salone, who's a parent as well, will speak to some of his family challenges around having a daughter with significant medical issues and needs, and is I'm not sure anybody wants to meet him at the moment because he's actually a stock investor. But maybe he does have some helpful advice. So there are other ethical issues for us to consider. That's not one of them tonight. And then on the other side of Dick is Colleen Campbell, who operates a day home and is a mom with disabilities, and will speak about her experiences with the child welfare system. And then Ann Houston, who is an associate professor at the University of Calgary and the director of the Community Rehabilitation and Disability Studies program in the Faculty of Medicine. We wanted to have a short panel presentation this evening in order to stimulate the dialogue, actually provide some food for thought and discussion, and we also wanted to stretch the agenda, actually. And so whether we're successful or not will remain to be seen, but it'd be entirely my fault or responsibility if we don't achieve that goal. I think it's relatively easy for people to understand, for example, the roots of sterilization, for example, and the changes we made around that. I think it's much more difficult to see how, in fact, little has changed with respect to our values around people with developmental disabilities actually able to parent. And so we wanted to suggest there is both the evident eugenic ideas historically, and then the continuing deeply rooted values that emerge in other ways today. So without further ado, I'll allow Dick to proceed.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dick Sobsey from the University of Alberta. I also want to take a minute to introduce Simo Vemas, from University of Jyväskylä in Finland. We're very fortunate to have Simo visiting with us this week. He's known in Finland as Famous. Simo is at the University of Jyväskylä, and he's in the Department of Special Education, but his area is really around the philosophy of disability, and he's done a lot of interesting work on sort of conceptual ideas of how we think about disability. He just brought with him, this is almost by magic, he receives his newest book here in Edmonton on, yeah, which does have a wonderful cover, arguing about disability that he edited along with Tom Shakespeare and Christiana Christensen. We've asked him to join us tonight, and after other people speak briefly, he's just going to give us some thoughts and reactions. And most of what we want to do is we want to have some discussion tonight. And so each of the panel members will speak briefly, and then we'll open it up to some of the questions that Bruce has already alluded to. What are we doing and why are we doing it around issues of genetic counseling, life and death issues, issues that speak to who we really want to be part of our lives and part of our society. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Wendy to get us started tonight. Thank you.